Friedberg. I got his number. Here he is. You guys see right here.
So
here he is.
You're WhatsApping.
This is Dan Friedberg right here. That's my guy, Dan Friedberg.
Is.
I don't care. Show his number. I don't give a fuck. Okay, there it is. Right, Dan Friedberg. Anybody want to take Dan Friedberg? I've texted him before. Let's send him a message. Let's see here. Okay, send a message. Hey, Dan. Hey, Dan. I heard SBF is in jail. We all know you were behind the whole thing. And you know, by doing stuff like this, I may actually be saving his life. That's the truth. I don't want him to die. I mean, whose hair am I going to make fun of next? You're behind the whole thing. Are you considering killing Sam while he's in jail? You're in jail. Thanks in advance. Ben Armstrong, a.k.a. BitBoy Crypto.
He's really doing it.
You know what's funny is that
the guy
one of
is
the places I
doing
went
it.
to talk that, it said BitBoy Crypto, a.k.a. Ben Armstrong. Like, that's not the way that works. Here it is. Here's the message.
That's amazing.
I'm going to screenshot it too. I just sent it to him. So I'm going to screenshot it. I'm going to put that on Twitter too later. So, yeah.
Amazing.
What he says?
Amazing. What's he going to say?
What's he going to say?
He's in Epstein jail.
You know what? I was going to kill him, but now BitBoy.
Oh, that's dark. That's really dark.
I may have just saved Sam's life. You remember that, Sam? You did it. I got Sam's text message. Sam texted me.
He owes you one.
You know what Sam asked me? He said, if you were in charge of FTX, what would you do? He asked me that in November when it all collapsed.
Really?
I got what? Sure you know that?
No. That's amazing.
I got all the messages.
That's wild.
Why
would his dad want to kill him?
Well, because his dad and Dan Friedberg are behind the whole thing. There's Joseph Bankman Fried. Here's our messages. There you go. You got it right there. That's definitely him. Definitely me. He said, "This is funny. So here's what he said. Fine. I've been text messaging him, right? Now this is the Saturday night that I'm in the Bahamas. I had just been at his house earlier that day. You know?
Yeah, you were.
And so I got his number, and so I've been texting me, wouldn't answer, and he says, I went over to Signal and said, you answer in here or no? Yeah, Satoshi. I told you it was one of the people. I told you that. This is literally his message to me. This is because I don't know if y'all remember, but when I was there, I kept joking about. Well, I wasn't really joking. I was actually thinking about it. I wanted to send him a pizza and get it delivered to his house, and I wanted to get the pizza place, and they just wouldn't do it. To put the BitBoy logo and pepperoni on it. So finally he answers me at, let's see what time it was. 1:48 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
Wow, I just realized he answered me only 6 minutes after I texted him. I didn't even realize that. But I was playing poker with Ice Bags, the big guy on Twitter, and I just won a bunch of money against him. I got lucky, really. The 2-pair hit on the river, and I had a bigger pair than him. He had 2-pair the whole time. I got lucky, and I was like, all right. And then I looked at my phone like, holy fuck.
What do you say?
Here's best to me. Hi! Exclamation point. A, I am trying to do everything I can to get as much for customers as possible and to be helpful to those who ask. This is, by the way, November 28th. It's the Saturday after Thanksgiving. But that doesn't change what happened, and I'm really deeply sorry about it. I was CEO, and so it was my duty to make sure that FTX did right by its users. I would give anything to go back. He probably wouldn't give up his Adderall. Anything to go back and be more careful and implement more oversight controls and make sure that no one got hurt. Wow. B, I really do respect how much you care. I've heard he actually kind of likes me, believe it or not. I think I just saved his life a second. And how much, I just want to talk to him. I want to sit down and talk to him. And I want to trim his hair. My goal is to give him a noogie and shave his head. I literally want to do that. And how much of yourself you're putting into your job in your community. I know that you and I have our differences, and obviously I don't agree with your approach to regulation, among other things, which my approach was decentralized, and his was centralized. But the industry needs people who care and fight for what they think is right. So he said that. C, y'all love this. I'm vegan. So in terms of pizza, mostly I eat cheeseless with veggies. And this is going to be shocking. This is shocking. Y'all are not going to believe this. Also, I'm a bit of a wimp, so nothing spicy. He texted me that.
To you, he texted you that.
He literally told
You're
me that.
chasing him down in the Bahamas.
He
He
said-
texted you that.
He said he's a wimp. Who would have thought?
You're
I should
chasing
have
a
texted him
wimp.
back and said, well, my arms are tiny too, Sam. Yeah, but I don't lie, so I would have said that. Then I said, I'm supposed to leave tomorrow. Basically, blah, 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 blah. I said, you know this New York Times interview is going to make sentiment on you worse. If it's the first time you talk, let's work it out. He said, I'll look into it, get back to you. I said, okay, I said, okay, thank you, I'll be waiting. Then he says, this is let's see. This is 15 minutes later. He says, one question I have for you. This is the CEO. At this point, he's already been overthrown as the CEO. Okay, so he's not technically CEO right now. He goes, one question I have for you. Let's say that you were made CEO of FTX right now and in charge of the Chapter 11 process in all global entities. What would you do?
He asked you.
Literally,
So
right
what
here.
would Jesus do? What would Ben Armstrong do?
It's
What would
literally,
you do? He's asking
literally right
you.
There it is.
That's
he literally
amazing.
texted it to you. Literally, right there. Literally texted it.
Amazing.
So
what was your response?
Yeah. Oh, I had a great response. Oh, yeah, I love my response.
That's amazing. Okay, so go on.
I said, so this is what I said. And this was the last time that we really talked over this.
Okay.
The next day, we would kind of talk about the interview, and he told me he unblocked me on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because he had blocked me because I was on it.
Yeah.
And so he said that he would do a Twitter Spaces interview with me. And then, of course, he never did it. Now, I've been told, his parents told him he wasn't allowed to. That's not a joke.
His parents.
Because his dad knows I fucking know he did it. His dad is behind the whole thing. I know it. There's no question about it. His dad's behind it.
Wow.
And Dan Friedberg is the guy that did it all. Sam's the scapegoat. Sam's not a good person, don't get me wrong, but in some ways, I feel sorry for Sam. And later on, I would even kind of tell him that. I would say, bro, I will meet you on the beach away from your parents and we can talk because I know what's going on. That was kind of the end of our conversation. So he said, I have one question for you. What would you do? I said, I understand why you were concerned and why you think this is important. However, the direction forward will be in someone else's hands. Focusing on how to pay customers back or how to rebuild the company is not your call anymore. As long as you're focused on that, you are going to be able to move forward. We need to talk about what happened and separate fact from fiction. At this point, the users are not going to ever be made close to whole. The only thing you can offer them is remorse and providing them with some form of closure. I can help you provide that. Wow. That was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're his father. He's the guy.
Oh, his dad's the guy. His dad had to get a lawyer recently. His dad's the guy. And that's listen, I don't want anybody to be confused. Sam is not a victim. Sam is not innocent. He has a very bad side to him. He also has a good side. He's like any human. He's got a good side, he's got a bad side.
He's not alone.
So, for sure. His parents are the whole thing. Wait till one day all this stuff comes up on Ukraine. Wait till all that stuff starts coming out. I ain't gonna tell you about that. But yeah, his dad's my own thing. So I met someone who, and it's so funny how this works. So y'all know who Dan Friedberg is. Dan Friedberg is the guy that orchestrated the whole thing. He did the whole thing in poker before.
Wow.
In 2000, I can't remember what it was, but about 15 to 20 years earlier, he ran the exact same scam. It was just on poker. In poker, it wasn't with crypto. It was a test run for crypto later on is what it was. He was the lawyer for Phil Hellmuth, who's a great big poker player. Phil Hellmuth had nothing to do with any of this. Mike Mattisau also had nothing to do with this. They're two big poker players. They got used. Dan Friedberg went to a meeting with Phil Hellmuth to meet with a company called Ultimate Bet. He met with him, and they stole him as Phil Hellmuth's attorney. They create a system to where Ultimate Bet can see the player's cards. And they called it God mode. And so what they would do is they would call people up like Phil Hellmuth and Mike Mattisau, and they'd say, it was all the people that worked there, they'd say, hey bro, like we love poker too, let's play some heads up. So they go play heads up, one-on-one, they'd see all the cards, and of course they wouldn't win every single hand, but whenever Mike would go for a big bluff, they'd call the bluff every time. Wow. Mike Mattisau alone lost $1 million. This thing was a $12 million total scam they did. Oh. Guys, it's the exact same thing that FTX was. They could see the trades. They could see everybody's cards, so to speak. Now, how they still lost. I think the way that they actually. What's that? I did it? Well, yeah, I was part of it for sure. For sure. Yeah, well, I help people. I save a lot of people from losing money for sure.
Yes.
You know, people come up to me all the time. They tell me I save their life savings, and I'm so grateful for that. You know, but I didn't know it was insolvent though. That's the whole thing. Is I thought that what was going on was it was going on. It was a fake market. It was the projects that they were screwing. I just didn't realize what was going on when they were counterfeiting the projects. Is that when customers go look, you can't find this stuff anymore because when FTX got hacked, they deleted all of their information so you could no longer go to TradingView and see their long versus short ratio that was going on during that summer and before. It was like a 90 to 10% short versus long ratio. So what they're doing, they're inviting all these people to come short all these projects. They were inflating the supply of all these tokens. Newcoin was when they did it with Liquid. I know they did it with Celsius. Alex Mashinsky, fuck that guy too. But he's a victim too. He's not a victim, but compared to Sam made him a victim. Because in January, and Alex told me this, I talked to him, he went in January, he apologized to me on the phone after all this stuff happened. In the Bahamas, in January of 2022, he went to FTX, he took one look at what was going on inside of FTX, and he said, I need to get all my money off this place. He looked at the kids running it, he looked at their little bean bags, and he said, I'm not letting these people have $100 million in my tether. And they started pulling all their tether off FTX. That's what started the entire thing. People don't even know that. But it was the product. So they were inflating the sell token. There's $20 million worth of shorts on Celsius that don't even make sense because there's not enough sell tokens on FTX to match the shorts. So we know if they were doing it with Newcoin on Liquid, which was owned by FTX or Alameda in Japan, we know they were doing it with Celsius. Pretty sure they were doing it with Casper. They did other crazy stuff with ICP. They extorted refinance. We were focused on the project side because the project people were giving me all this information, Did
the SEC know about it?
Either Gary Gensler knew about it or he's the worst person at his job in history. He has to be. There's no in the middle. There's no in the middle. He's either literally the worst person to ever do his job or he's a fraudulent criminal. There's nothing in the middle, right? So the point is that he goes and pulls it off. Where was I in the story? Where was the last thing I said? I do this sometimes. I lose track.
Well, in a nutshell, you were saying.
Okay. So the market was fake. The market was fake. I knew the market was fake. There's a tweet that I put out on beginning after the CoinDesk thing. I said, look, there's a fake market going on, but I don't think they're insolvent. What I didn't realize at that point, because I was already working with NBC on a story on it, what I didn't realize is when people were making those profits from those shorts, they were going and pulling the real coins off. And every time they had to pull the real coins off, what were they doing? Counterfeiting more coins. And they were creating this gigantic fake market. And that's how, even though they had all the cards, even though they could see everything, they still lost. And so I talked to somebody, and Dan Friedberg designed all this. Dan Friedberg is the architect of all. He was their compliance lawyer. He was a compliance lawyer, the whole thing. The guy who ran the biggest poker scam in history, $12 million that we laugh at right now because of how much was on FTX. Yeah. It was by far the biggest thing in poker that had ever happened at that time. That was like 2003, 2004, 2, somewhere around there. Knowing that, they hired him. Sam said on his faces that he knew about Dan's path before he hired him. And so the architecture of all the shell companies that they created were done by Dan Friedberg. If you also look at what they did when they did the hack that deleted all the data, guess what? When the pressure got put on Ultimate Bet, you know what they did? Hacked, lost all the data. The same exact thing over and over and over again. So Dan Friedberg did it. Now, it's interesting. Just recently, FTX sued Dan Friedberg. This just happened because Dan Friedberg had actually made a plea deal or something. Not a plea deal. He looked like he was going to get off scot-free. And now FTX, from the bankruptcy side, is suing him. And who was the person solely responsible for bringing Dan Friedberg on? Who do you think it was? ICE. Oh, no, that was back there.
The dad?
The dad, Joe Bankman.
Oh.
Joe Bankman specifically hired Dan Friedberg. Now, it's 100%. I also know someone who, and so you say, okay, well, we got all this stuff with the donation money, right? It's a VIP lounge, guys. I was supposed to be chilling. But this is all interesting stuff. You read all this in my new book, Catching Up to FTX. It comes out a year to the week that FTX collapsed. So be good. And look for the afro on the cover. Yeah. So my first book was like a lot about like history of crypto and understand great for beginners, great for new people. But this one's more personal between me and Sam. You get the whole story. You found out how I found out about all of it, which is a big freaking loophole, or like just insane how I found out. We went to them for funding. For our build. That's how we found out about it. And then that's when Sam went and tried to go. He literally told our people he tried to sabotage us because he wanted his own build. So I met a person at a party. And so you're like, where did all the Democratic money come from? Now we know Kevin McCarthy, scammer. We know Turkey Neck McConnell. We know Republican. He's involved in it too. We know it's mostly the Democrats, right? We know all this money got funded to these Democrats for all this power and all this stuff. And you say, okay, well, how did this happen? Like, how was Joe Bankman, how was he involved in this? Well, what happens is, and we'll have to see if Dan Friedberg texts me back in a second. I talked to a person who ran a nonprofit because what was their whole thing? We want to help altruism. We want nonprofits, right? So what are the two groups of people that almost, or not people, what are the two things that almost everyone universally agrees it's great to give money to those causes?
Cancer research?
Well, no, we all know there's a cure. AI is going to cure cancer, and then you know what's going to happen? American Cancer Society and Pfizer are going to kill AI. Cancer's not a funny thing, but I'm just saying, like, we know there are kids and animals.
No, I see.
You know the Sarah McLachlan commercial? You still watch? Tears of an angel. You got the little dogs. I got 5 dogs. I love dogs. Man, it makes me cry because I love dogs. Cats? When the kittens are all right, but whatever. Everybody agrees. And pets, dogs and cats, our pets here in America. Like these are two things that everybody agrees we love to give money to, right?
Michael Vick knew the hard way.
What's that?
Michael Vick knew the hard way.
Don't talk about my guy, man.
I love him.
Hey, listen, I love a person reborn. I love somebody with a second chance. He's done the best of it. I'm still a little upset what he did when he said he didn't try as hard as the Falcons, but I love Michael Vick as a person. I'm glad he's rebuilt his life. It's amazing. It's funny because like I went through a lot of that same stuff, not with dogfighting, but with drugs, and like me and Michael Vick actually were kind of on the same timeline. You know, the day that his friends turned on him was the day I overdosed and ended up going to the hospital for 8 days. And so it's cool to watch. We both kind of rebuilt our lives on the same timeline, but that's a whole other story. What he did with the dogs was not okay. I love dogs. So what happens is she meets with the head of their philanthropy, meets with them 7 or 8 times. Do you know who the head of their philanthropy was? Joe Bankman. She showed me screenshots of their Zoom calls. Let her on. And guess what? Decided, you know what? We're just, in the end, we're not going to support your charity. Do you know the only place they gave money to? Does anybody know what it's called? Pandemic prevention. That's the only. Oh, you know what? Well, also, they gave iPads to the Bahamian police force. Don't forget about that one too. Anything in the Bahamas, they gave some money to some different things. United States, the only nonprofit they gave money to is pandemic prevention. Do you know what pandemic prevention is? Like we all agree. Well, we may not all agree pandemic was fake. We may not all agree on vaccines. I know where I stand on all that stuff. But we know people did die. I mean, there was some real stuff that happened, right? So you're pandemic prevention, and you think, okay, well, what kind of thing would you think that was going to send money to? Maybe vaccine research. Maybe
some
some.
people that lost their things.
Well, I think maybe mass supplies, maybe hospitals, right? No, it all went to Democrats. Because Democrats are Imagine being pro-pandemic. Right? Like, we're running on a platform, guys. We are pro-pandemic. If we ever start getting sick again, whoa, I can't wait. We'll have tons of money.
What about the Gates Foundation?
The Gates Foundation, well, it's a whole other story. The Gates Foundation is a whole other story. But they weren't giving money to the Gates Foundation. Why? Because Sam and his people want to be more powerful than Bill Gates. They didn't care about that stuff. Pandemic prevention is literally a nonprofit that gives money to Democratic candidates in the United States. That's the entire thing. Not a single dollar of any of that money went to any kind of pandemic prevention. Now, you could say, well, you give money to Democrats, then, you know, they like research. So, like, in a roundabout way, maybe a few of those dollars scurried away to somewhere. It's like that. But no, the whole thing is a freaking scam. And like the fact that like I tell people this stuff all the time, and people still don't understand it and still don't know it. They say, "Oh, BitBoy inserted himself into the story." Like, no, guys, I fucking know what's going on. Like, when are people gonna get it? You know, I don't know. I can talk about this stuff all day. You know, so I think guys.
Hey.
It's not much different either.
Oh, I already know that. I heard his brother's cool, right? Y'all like his brother? His brother's in crypto, right?
Yeah.
Is his brother cool?
No, none of them are cool.
No, they're cool. Brother's not cool. I heard his brother.
Thank you for the stories, BitBoy.
You
Thank
think he
you.
is?
Oh, he's definitely cool.
He definitely He's into crypto, so he's cooler than Justin Trudeau.
All right, man.
Great stories,
Justin Trudeau
man.
looks like a guy who got beat up in high school a lot. It was probably me beating him up. So.
Thank you, BitBoy. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, man.
Wild. Was that nuts? Crazy.